Collector Brain.
Hi, welcome back to Collector Brain. I'm Jens, and thanks for joining me. This video is a little bit different because I really didn't have a lot of pickups this week, and a lot actually are still with my friend Otaku, so that will be in a later video. I went out for some yard sales, and the only thing that I actually picked up was this mic, which I'm using right now, and hopefully this sounds a little bit better. Hello, fellow nerds and brainiacs.
It was weird.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All right. What I really want to talk about is I want to rank the Absolute Universe series in my opinion, the way I read them and enjoyed them. So for a little bit of context, I started collecting comic books like around November of 2025 through a friend of mine who asked me to send some comics in to get signed by Todd McFarlane. And so I kind of got my hands on with some comics and I got interested. And both him and my the owner of the local game store / comic book store both kind of said like, hey, you got to read, Absolute Batman, or Absolute Wonder Woman and stuff like that. It's not what you expect. It's not what you remember. And so I really got into it, and that's why I feel really close to this series, because it kind of cemented me back into comic books in general, and also got me into collecting. And that's why I feel really close to the series, and I just wanted to talk about it. Especially if somebody has not read it yet. A lot of people have heard about, prices and stories and stuff like that when it comes to what's happening with the Absolute Batman #1 prices and speculations and stuff like that. But I want to talk about the actual story. So I'll be ranking that from, starting at number 5 to 1. I won't be including, there's one called DC All In Special, which basically starts the Absolute Universe. So, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Pity.
So it's, I would still suggest you read it, but like what happens is it's like the Justice League is fighting Darkseid. Darkseid had bonded with the Spectre. The Spectre is still fighting back. And Darkseid creates this new Alpha Earth. And basically his energy is like all over this universe, or this Earth or universe. And it's supposed to take away from the heroes what kind of makes them great, or what gives them part of their strength. And we talk about this in detail when we come to the different series. So it does start it all off, but since it's like a one shot, I did not include it in the ranking. And another one is Absolute Evil. It's also one shot, talking about all the bad guys getting together. Also, there is this particular one here about Oliver Queen. He shows up, and if you've seen, I'll share a picture right now, what happens to him. It was kind of surprising that actually this month they launched Absolute Green Arrow. So I was very interested to see what it is. I already read the first story. It's really good. It doesn't answer a lot of questions that you might have after seeing the picture I just shared. But it gets you interested in it. So I didn't include it in the story as well, in the ranking as well, because there's just not too much to go by. And also in June of this year, as I'm recording this, there will be a launch of Absolute Catwoman. Don't know anything about it yet. She has shown up in the Absolute Universe, but she's getting her own series, and I'm looking forward to that as well. All right. With all that out of the way, let's get into the ranking. First up, still, you might hear grumpy old Teddy over there. snoring away. There. No, the other way. Anyways, he's there. I waited long enough for him to wake up, but he's not. So I apologize for the extra noise in the background. But yeah, let's get into it. So number 5 is Absolute Martian Manhunter. I wasn't not a huge fan of that particular series. It started out interesting. There's a lot of bright colors and stuff like that make the art pop from something I've read before. And they do some cool things with the actual comics where you hold it into the light and then you can see something else through it. So they're being very innovative about the story. So there is the agent John gets into an explosion, and with that his mind gets merged with the Green Martian. And ever since then, he can see like a smoke around people that tells them what they're thinking and stuff like that. I mean, the whole series reads like a big acid trip. I mean, it is kind of cool, but there's supposed to be a total of 12 issues. I made it till issue 8 and kind of lost interest. Others I've talked to at the LCS, they really enjoyed it. I kind of miss the original John Jones Martian Manhunter a little bit. So the idea is that it is different from what you've seen before, but this story just didn't capture me actually that much. So that's why it's at number 5. It's still cool. I mean, if you want to see it, it's there. It's still like there's the Green Martian, there's the White Martian. If you're more familiar with it, you might enjoy it. Like I said, other people really enjoyed it. I'm not so much one of them. But anyways, it's still worth checking out. All right, that brings us to number 4. And I must apologize. Number 4 might be a little bit of a cop-out because I really couldn't decide on 2. So this number 4 is actually a tie. And the tie will be between Absolute Green Lantern and Absolute Flash. Both, I think, are really good. Something just seems to be missing for them to be like higher on the list. Let's talk about Absolute Green Lantern. And I never read Green Lantern growing up. Actually, so I grew up in Germany, and most of the comics that I read were like from Marvel. DC, the only thing that I ever really was familiar with was Batman, Superman, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So, Absolute Green Lantern. It is like in this town, there is the sign of the Green Lantern falls to Earth, and everybody's like held in that town, and they're being judged by an alien. So the alien is Abin Sur, which I know in the universe, there had a different role before. So, but me being kind of new to it doesn't mean much to me. So in the town, there's Hal Jordan, which I knew as the Green Lantern, because the first thing I knew about Green Lantern is the Ryan Reynolds movie, which is probably not the best choice. So, but since then, I'm trying to catch up on it, and I know I have a lot of reading to do. There's also Joe Mullen, John Stewart, and Guy Gardner, and all of them being judged in that town. So it's supposed to give it more of a horror vibe to the story, because there are some murders that happen, lots by like accident. Joe Mullen is or Mullane, I'm sorry. Some Green Lantern fans are probably just pulling their hair out by my mispronunciation. So she's kind of taken the lead on in here as the main character. But there's no Green Lantern Corps. That's like the main part of it. And everybody's like being judged by Abin Sur, and don't want to give it. I don't want to give everything away. I want people to read it. I find it interesting, but I think if I knew more about the Green Lantern, this whole thing would be like blowing me away more than it is. But it's a good read. I continue reading. I have not stopped. I'm just a little bit behind on it. I think they're on number 14 now, and I think I stopped reading at 10 or 11. Not that I stopped for good. I'm just like having to catch up. So, but I can definitely recommend it if there's some Green Lantern fans out there. They'll probably be more impressed by what's being done, and the whole idea is of doing something different with this universe. And but I think it's as somebody that's unfamiliar with it, a little bit lost on me. But it's still good. I'll continue. So that gets us to Absolute Flash. So it's on a military base. That's where it starts out. There is a General West who's running some lab, and his son Wally is there. So the Flash in this story is Wally West. He's the only kid on military base. He's really bored. There's this other guy working in the lab, Barry Allen, who kind of takes pity on him being a kid, alone, not really having much to do. So he invites him into the lab and spends time with him, while his dad is not too happy about it. And later on, he sneaks into it. Barry Allen is working on a experiment that goes wrong. Barry Allen dies.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler, sorry. And Wally becomes the Flash. But unlike in the show and the other stories, he doesn't have that support, that what makes the Flash great. So he's kind of scared. The rest of the lab is trying to hunt him down because of he has these abilities now, and he's trying to get away. There is this team that's hunting him, where there's some familiar faces, like similar to Captain Cold or stuff like that. So they're there, but yeah. Other than that, he doesn't really have a big support system. He has to do much on his own. There is some, not kind of time travel, but into travels into other dimensions as well, where he fights with some of the big bads. Again, I don't want to give everything away. I think it's really good, but it's also interesting. But same as Green Lantern, I feel like a little bit is missing to kind of like get that wow factor. But it's a good story. I think it's worth reading, and it is different, obviously, than from the regular Flash series, but it's very good. All right, enough of that. That brings us to number 3. Number 3 goes to Absolute Superman. Absolute Superman actually surprised me. I started that one last of all of those. I like the Superman story, but I really haven't been reading much of it. It's not something that I gravitate towards. But I liked it as a kid. I liked the movies, but I'm not a huge Superman fan. But when I started reading it, it actually surprised me. I do know the regular origin story and so on, and so I can see the nuances of what's different, and it's a very, very good story. So it starts on Krypton. He's a little bit younger, kind of like what they have in the Superboy age, right? But the planet itself, it's a little bit different than what's usually portrayed as, there's like this caste system of like, there's farmers and there's engineers and so on and so forth. And you really have to stay in your lane or you get punished in there. So Superman, or Kal-El himself, there's some rumors about, the planet is changing, the planet is in danger. And he talks about that in school, and he gets thrown out of school. His dad is talking at work about it, and they want to put him in jail. His mom is working on a capsule, where they flee the planet with, and basically the higher caste, they all knew about it and they're trying to flee themselves, but they don't want anybody else on the planet to know. So basically, they want everybody leave them to die because they're the rich, they're the smart, and so which is much different what we know before. So eventually, he gets off the planet. His mom also created this suit. It's called Soul. It is like a built-in AI, and it kind of keeps him company as he's aging in the pod, And yeah, it's a lot of his support, keeps him safe. And when he gets to Earth, like he doesn't have that support. Like there is the family in Kansas, but it doesn't hold on to very long. It's very dystopian. The big company that owns everything and destroys the little people basically is the Lazarus Company that's run by Ra's al Ghul. Superman is fighting for the little guys, and it's a really I think that one surprised me more, and that's why it's on number 3. So I can really recommend check that one out. All right, bringing it to number 2. And this was actually harder than I thought. I think everybody can kind of guess maybe what number 1 will be, but let's be surprised for a second. So number 2 almost made it to number 1. And I read this one earlier, and this one really surprised me as well, even more so than the Superman story, and that's Absolute Wonder Woman. So the difference in the Wonder Woman, it says it on the poster, is like, she doesn't grow up in paradise. She grows up in hell on this little island as a kid. She doesn't have the Amazons to teach her. She has Cersei, who teaches her magic, and it also, everything is like in the entire universe. It's a little bit more violent, I want to say. So one day when she's older, there's a soldier that comes to the shore, and she feels bad for him, kind of like in the movie or in the old story. I'm sorry, I'm referring to movies all the time because that's what I'm more familiar with, since I have a lot of reading to do on other stories. And she wants to send him back to his world because he really doesn't deserve to be there in hell with her. And her sacrifice is she chops off her own arm and sacrifices it for this spell, so she can send him back. I mean, that kind of tells you about the bout of brutality. Like, I mean, who chops off their own arm and cotton limbs and stuff like that really doesn't happen in the regular comics. So so then with magic, she still can use the arm, but like, if she's losing her magic powers, she only has one arm and stuff like that. She comes to Earth and she fights some battles there. And the military is not very happy that she's like taking over and so on and so forth. And then Ares also is not happy that she's popular and on Earth and stuff like that. There's a lot of good stories. I can highly, highly recommend that one. I read all the way up to number 16. I still have to read. There's an annual, and then it's all the way up to number 19. So I have a little bit left to read as well. But what I've read, there's even already a crossover where her and Batman are fighting together, not against each other, but fighting together, and that's really great. And it's a great story. So I can highly recommend this one. All right, let's go obviously to what's left on the plate, the last one. Sorry about that. The last one, number 1, Absolute Batman. So that's the first one that I read. I'm a Batman fan. It's not one of the major things that I read all the time, but I always like Batman. And the Absolute Batman series was what's recommended to me first, and I really, really like it. So he's not rich in this one. He's just, he lives in a poor neighborhood with, hangs out with his friends, which are all, the ones, one of his friends is Harvey Dent, and then all of his friends are sort of becoming these villains that we know, like Croc and the Riddler and so on. So they're all like his neighborhood buddies that he used to hang out with, and they're developed there for later. But it's also, there's a lot more fighting going on. There's one of the issues, the annual, which was the origin of the new quote unquote Batmobile, which is like nothing fancy like we know, but it's his new Absolute Batman truck or whatever it is, and he's fighting white supremacists. So there was a little bit of controversy there because the annual came out like shortly after the first couple of issues that came out. So, but he's breaking bones, he's punching them, like and one of his weapons is like the logo that they show, that's actually his axe, and so he's also like chopping some people. It is very brutal. Alfred is actually a secret agent that was first sent to assassinate him, or at least in that town, had some assassination contracts, but he actually ends up helping him. But it's also a completely different take on what you know before. Yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit vague because I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't read it. I hope I, brought some people to interested in actually reading one or more than one series. I think it's really worthwhile reading. Besides the collectability or some of the speculation. I just heard when online there's a lot of people that dislike some of the artistic choices, like for the Joker or any of the other characters, and that they're like their characters more to the original, which I can understand in some instances. I felt the same, like in the Absolute Martian Manhunter, but it's good to try something new, tell a story differently, and I'm very impressed by it. I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen, because I would assume with the start of Darkseid and him starting the universe, that eventually we will circle back around to him. He hasn't shown up or as of yet, but I would assume that that's where we're heading at one point or another. Yeah, I hope you like this. If you do, let me know if you want me to do more videos like this. I hope I didn't discourage anybody from reading the stories because of the way I talked about it. Yeah, go check it out. Read some of the Absolute Universe and let me know what you think. And if I was wrong about anything, if I misremembered or misrepresented anything, leave it down in the notes. Tell me how dumb I was, and thank you. All right, everybody. Next time, hopefully we have some more pickups to share, and I'm looking forward to the next video. Hope to see you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.